in any farming setup, you harvest what you sow. So I've had so many myths about how farmers feed their cows. Some feed in very odd practices and expect a lot of milk. Some farmers, we tell them that you can do, a cow can give 35 liters, 40 liters, 50, even you have Girolando doing 60 to 70, and they doubt. So what are some of the secrets in terms of feeding and nutrition that will make sure that you become the best, you get the best production? Because we say garbage in, garbage out. You won't sow what you didn't plant. So we have our vet. Let's get some experience about feeding. So, Bwana Peter.
Yes, please.
There are some people who've been, I come from Rift Valley.
Yes.
And they are giving cows the maize. After they harvest, they have the maize in the store and they're expecting a lot of milk. We have a fight, a constant fight. How do you advise them?
Such farmers, I would narrow down to two things. Number one, the animal has to feed on forage, which is the base, which is the foundation, and we have the concentrate. The concentrate is what they call maize germ, is what they call dairy meal, etc. Now, on the foundation of that animal, you have to ensure that forage is not just any forage. There are different types of forages. For example, a person can just harvest any grass from anywhere. We call it bush hay. In this case, you cannot expect a lot from such a type of a forage. So there are those type of forages that we do encourage. For example, we want everybody to plant very nutritious forage. And in this case, we have June cow, we have Juanco, we have Pak Chong Wan, we have Red Napier, etc. And in this case, the forage should be of good quality. The silage, for example, we store silages. And in this case, when storing silages, we basically encourage maize silages over the rest. Why? Because maize silage, when harvested at the right stage, at the milking stage, this is when that silage is of good quality, and when stored as a silage, it is of good quality, and you can now, in this case, be guaranteed of maximum production and excellent production and a rise in your profits. Now, in this case, when you narrow down to the maize silage, because an animal must be given four things to be precise. You have to ensure that you have energy with you. You have to ensure that you have protein with you. You have to ensure that you have a nutrition. They are called nutrient fibers. You have to ensure you have water. Those four items have to come from different backgrounds. For example, the silage will provide basically nutrient fibers, it will provide energy, and it will provide a bit of protein. But is it enough? It is not enough, because you need now to supplement with, because we want to maximize on the production. You have to ensure that you now supplement with the concentrate. And the concentrate in this case is where the maize germ gets in, which we provide. We have the dairy meal, we have the wealthy farmer dairy meal, we have mineral salts. And in this case, mineral salt is just not any other salt. There are those people I've met and have interacted with, and they have told me that they give their cow the normal salt they use at cooking. In that case, you are providing that cow with the sodium chloride, which is not a mineral salt. A mineral salt should have calcium with it, it should have phosphorus with it, it should have manganese and other trace minerals like cobalt and molybdenum. So in this case, it is very advisable that you narrow down to exactly what is your cow's requirement. For example, in our wealthy farmer solutions, we offer quality and guaranteed results in terms of the minerals requirements of a calf, a heifer, a pregnant animal, and even a lactating animal. In this case, you are guaranteed that once an animal is eating our salt, once an animal is feeding on this mineral salt, you can be guaranteed of quality and production. At the same time, maintenance, because maintenance is a key factor.
So thank you so much. I've understood about the different components and why we have to be very specific with what we feed our cows. And then the question comes, some of the things that is making farmers to go for the list that is available that has no value is the cost. How will a farmer manage to have high milk production, light feeds, yet manageable based on the skyrocketing cost of feeds?
It is very sure, it is very true, it is very unfortunate that the prices of keeping a dairy cow are skyrocketing day in, day out. Now, in this case, I would urge farmers not to be shop people. Shop farmers will always make losses in this country. And this is because the system is actually not in your favor as a farmer. So in this case, there have to be a way in which a farmer must blend in with the system. How do you do that? You have to make sure that majority of these sources of nutrients are coming actually from your farm. If you can produce quality protein, if you can produce soya, if you can produce lucerne, if you can actually lower your cost as low as possible, in this case, the skyrocketing you might actually blend in with the system and bypass the hiking cost of feeding. And in this case, this is why I'm advising people to farmers to get into the core, invest in knowledge and know exactly what do you call dairy meal. Dairy meal is made of different components, and mind you, most of these components are grown in our farms. We have maize in it, we have bran in it, we have there are people who are actually even using different methods in order to cut their cost. And mind you, I can tell you for free that you can actually make sure that the cost of production is as low as possible by making sure that you know what you can produce in your farm and take your cost as low as possible. For example, in this case, I can take you to the red napier. The red napier in this case can actually lower your cost because it has around 19.95% of crude protein. Some of the dairy meals in the market actually cannot meet such levels of protein content. Why? Because in this case, you want a bag that is labeled just dairy meal, and once now you take the sample to the lab, you can be very frustrated. So I urge farmers to take their cost as low as possible. How do you do that? You can actually mitigate. Don't actually use the traditional methods of feeding, because traditional methods of feeding will require you to feed a lot of items to the cow, and in this case you may not break even, you may not make any profit. So I urge most farmers, now if you can use your small land, if you can consult us, we can now help you to develop that 1 acre land, and in that 1 acre land we can feed around 20 cows. How? We can actually make sure that you are not a shop farmer. A shop farmer is that farmer who goes to the shop for everything. They buy salt, they buy dairy meal, they buy leaves, they buy forage, they buy the cow itself. So in this case, you can be sure that being a shop farmer will not pocket you anything. So it is very advisable if a farmer can actually maximize on what they have. And in this platform, we are here to encourage you to make sure that you can understand what exactly do I need. Do I need all this list of things in order to break even, in order to get profits? No, you don't. You don't, because you can work with what you have. And in this case, we can help you manage your 1 acre land, your 2 acre land, and in this case, multiply your production, grow whatever that animal requires, because a protein is not anything that is on the shop. And most likely you might lose by going to the shop to buy a protein that is actually the oil. For example, some of the proteins in the market are actually of low quality, and you can find somebody buying just a cotton seed cake that is of a very low quality. It is basically fiber. So why don't you just do this? Go and come and buy quality seeds from us. We can take you through the process to grow the cotton, to grow the lucerne, to grow everything in your farm, and in this case, take the cost as low as possible as you maximize on the profit. Remember that any business has to buy low and sell high in order to make profit. So do not fall in those traps of telling you now do this, buy this, and basically you are not analyzing that information. So in this case, I would urge farmers, number one, to utilize to the maximum what they have, the land they have, to grow their own protein, to grow their own carbs, to grow their own anything that can be. In this case, you can now be going to the shop to buy just the mineral salts, which we can provide at low cost, and make sure that you can pocket a lot as you keep the production high and the cost as low as possible.
So there's some concept we've been talking about, or you've been advising me about being an agripreneur and not a farmer. What is the difference?
There's a very big difference between being a farmer and an agripreneur. And a farmer is a person who has the cow with them. They have the feed with them. They have to clean that particular shed for them. And they actually bought that cow and constructed the structure for them. And in this case, the farmer actually is that person who does all the weightlifting. They do the weightlifting. They actually do the hard work. But that farmer is not the agripreneur. Agripreneur is that person now who follows the whole track and actually is in every part of the value chain. They either have the cow or they can source the milk from somewhere, and in this case do the value adding. And the value adding is where now the money is. In this case, the agripreneur make sure that the feed, the cost of feeding is taken low. How do they do that? They invest in knowledge to know where exactly to source the very different components of making the TMR, the total mixed ration. Either the carbohydrates, the energy, the protein, the fiber, etc. They do not stop there. They move to the next level of either rearing that animal. So in this case, before I move to the next, they make sure that feeding cost is on their hand. They control how much will my dairy meal cost. They take it as low as possible. And in this case, taking it low doesn't mean interference with the quality. The quality remains on the top notch, and in this case, the price goes to the lowest it can. The next process, they rear that animal, and the production, they actually decide how much they will sell. So I would advise farmers not to just be farmers. In this case, we are talking about the farmers, but I would like them next time they get into the farming business, into the dairy business, don't just be farmers, because a farmer, most of the time they are disadvantaged. They are told this is the cost of dairy meal, this is the cost of minerals, or this is the cost of the cow, and this is the cost we are buying a liter of milk. So I would advise farmers to get into the value chain, and in this case be the ones that actually dictate how much they are going to sell their produce. For example, in Githunguri, you will find a lot of farmers who are actually producing milk and actually are in the business of selling milk. In Thika, you will find them. In Muranga, you will find them. But these farmers actually do not dictate how much they are going to sell their milk. So I am advising farmers to invest in knowledge, to invest in consultancy, and in this case be advised on the ways in which they can actually be dictating the cost of their milk. For example, the Githunguri dairy farmers, the Githunguri dairy farmers is a group of farmers that are in that business of producing milk. But Fresher, on the other hand, is an agripreneur. It is an agripreneur because it is the one that says, on this supermarket, our milk, our 500 ml of yogurt, we are selling at this much. And there is no complaint about that because that's an agripreneur. But a farmer is told a liter of milk we are buying at this. So I would urge farmers to move from that mentality of just being farmers and get into the action of being agripreneurs. So we have the different ways. That's just one way. But we have different ways in which a farmer can move from just being a farmer into an agripreneur.
Thank you so much. I want to be an agripreneur as well. I want all of you watching me to be agripreneurs. I have a calf, and then there's always this question: when should I feed the colostrum? When should I stop feeding it? When should I introduce the pellets? Advise us on the light feeding of a calf, because we need a good calf to be a good heifer and then a good lactating cow.
Immediately a calf is born, within the first 6 hours, research have identified that the intestinal membranes is very porous, and in this case, being porous, it means that the calf intestine can absorb large particles, which actually diminishes around around the 12th hour. You will find that most of that porousness, it will diminish up to around 50%. And in around 48 hours, we have almost zero polarity in the membrane of the intestine. So it is very advisable that immediately a calf is born, within the first 30 minutes to 1 hour, you make sure that your calf consumes a lot of milk, and if possible, you can actually make sure that that milk is the colostrum, because colostrum is very packed with a lot of immunity, because it has a lot of vitamins, it has a lot of butterfat content, it has a lot of energy in it, and that is the foundation of a productive animal. So in this case, if you can't provide milk within the very first 6 hours, it is very unfortunate that that calf will be prone to infections. And in this case, we have a feeding method that we actually come up with, and we can advise farmers on how best they can intervene and ensure that their calf gets a good foundation.
So I don't want to exhaust information from Peter, because definitely you need to call him and consult more. And you also need to come and attend all our trainings, because you will always meet him. And some of these things that he is explaining, you'll be able to see them or engage him directly, and also visit him in his offices so that you can be able to learn more. So as we finalize, what is your last advice to us as dairy farmers in regards to feeding, and why it's very important, same feeding and nutrition? And maybe you can also tell us how your services operate in the line of feeding, so that we can take full advantage of it.
So in this case, I'll give just one advice, that a well-fed animal of good genetic value, it is the one that will give you maximum productivity. And well-fed means you have to ensure that you provide good nutrition in terms of energy, in terms of concentrate, in terms of forage, and in terms of minerals. In that part of minerals, I would like you now to engage me in terms of how much you need in terms of mineral salt, because we have wealthy farmer mineral salt, ranging from that one of a calf to the heifer, to the lactating, and even to in-calf heifers, the dry one. In this case, I also need to elaborate on feeding in terms of its relativeness to breeding, because an animal will come on heat when it has enough energy. There are those of you who have complained to me that their animals are actually having silent heat. It is a shame that I have to mention that most of those animals that I have attended have been in the field. I've attended different farms. Some of you are witness of that. I've been to your farms, and you can witness that I actually told you that you are not giving enough phosphorus, you are not giving enough vitamin A, you are not actually giving enough energy. And in this case, that is why I would advise you to try our wealthy farmer dairy meal, our wealthy farmer products, and in this case, you are going to get low cost, high quality, and high productive dairy farming. I officially would like to invite you on our training that will be in Bomet on 11th of October. Don't miss out.
So thank you so much. We cannot exhaust it. You have to keep learning every day. Until next time, I was your host, B. Kimani.